Hey fans, welcome to Primo Reef Acrylics new video on the Great White SPS. So this is going to be an SPS dominant tank. Want to give you guys an update on what's happening from the previous videos that you guys seen. I did upgrade my sump, so I changed the layout on the sump. So the dosing containers I had, I removed them, and the auto top off that you see on your far left hand side. That's just outside and it's going to be sold. So the sump itself, it's definitely a 3-chamber system. It's about a total 40-gallon sump. That's with the auto top off, and the sump with saltwater only is roughly about 30 gallons or somewhat, or 34-gallon sump that actually runs from the tank. So it's a regular 3-chamber system. You have your what I'm going to have is a Vertex 180 skimmer or an Vertex 180 skimmer or a Reef Octopus Elite skimmer, or Prime. So 3 skimmers I've been narrowed down to that, and I'm gonna just doing some research on them to see what's good and what's not. And then after that, it drips into the return chamber that's in the middle, and then the far right hand side you have an auto top off. So the container, the total volume of the sump is 40 gallons, but the operational volume of the tank salt water is actually about 34 or 32 gallons, so leaving me with a roughly 8-gallon auto top off reservoir. That being said, let's go back to the tank itself. So the tank, it's been running great. So one of the things that I highly suggest when some of you are actually making your custom rocks is that when you have cement, there's some chemicals within the cement that get released into the tank. So the last thing you want to do is have an established tank and you put the cement inside, and then all of a sudden your pH rises, it starts leaching a whole bunch of chemicals inside your water column that can result in loss of coral or loss of fishes, with parameters going crazy. So first things first, what I did was I cycled my rocks. So after my last video on my system, I've been cycling my rocks for a while now, roughly about a month and about 2 weeks. So the first 2 weeks of cycling the rocks, it was done with RODI unit. So with the RODI unit, the first week I did water changes, 100% water changes every 2 days or so, because what I actually did was I bought a fresh water testing kit with pH, ammonia, and nitrates and everything. So obviously there won't be any nitrates, but the pH, what I was really concerned about, pH was skyrocketed. It was hitting around 10 or 12. So after doing a couple of water changes, the pH actually dropped for where I wanted to properly, and after the pH dropped, I went ahead after the second week, I believe, and I did a saltwater cycle. So the saltwater cycle was like a narrowed down saltwater cycle where I can actually release the last bits of toxins and lower the pH the way I want to, because salt water itself will go ahead and release some more chemicals from the rocks. So after all that was done, finally I had the pH where I wanted to, and there was no other chemicals in the tank for me to test for, so that was done. And then I took some protein skimmate from a friend of mine, and I actually quick cycled my rock with, I believe it was called ProBio or some quick cycle concept. You drip the vials inside and it kind of kickstarts your system. So that's exactly what I did. And since then, the tank's been running great. I had no issues so far, knock on wood. There are about 2-3 corals placed inside. That's for testing phase to make sure it's all good. I have a Gorgonia in there that's been running in the back. That's the only Gorgonia that I'm going to have in there. Otherwise, it's, again, like I said, complete SPS dominant tank. So the tank is 36 inches by 22 inches by 20 inches high. White background, white sand, and white silicone. A complete new concept that's probably going to change the market. Some of you are probably going to wonder and say, well, white silicone, you're going to have a lot of algae buildup. Yes, to a certain degree, you probably might. But the concepts that I build my tanks on is that I have 0 silicone bead on the inside. Actually, the silicone bead on the inside of my aquariums, they're only 1/16 of a gap. So only what you put in between the glass is the only silicone you're going to see. So if I zoom into that, there. So if you can see, there's no silicone bead on the inside of my tank. So again, for some of you that are worried about algae building up, it's definitely not going to happen, or even if it does happen, it's a swipe of a finger to take some of that detritus or algae off. Again, lighting system, well, after the lighting system, before the lighting system, I'm going to just kind of pinpoint how I have my overflow and everything. So I have two 1.5-inch bulkheads to the back with strainers. So what these are is that to the back of the plumbing, this is a concept that I'm going to be having here. So the water level is in between the bulkhead, and there's a flow that happens inside that kind of drips down. So that allows for maximum amount of water going down the drain and taking out all the protein from the top of the water volume. Now if I have a 1.5-inch Spears gate valve that's located down there, and that gate valve allows me to control the water level and how I want it and take away the gurgling noise. On the top valve here, I can take that off. I actually have a 1/16 hole inside for gravity fed. So that's that. Plumbing's all done. The wiring is actually still in works right now. As for flow, I have three methods. Obviously, one is going to be my Jabao return pump that's there. I have a silicone piping that goes up to reduce some of the noise. Just kind of tested it out. So the silicone piping is held on by a barb, and then after that barb, it's all hard plumbing. That's my 1.5-inch there again. So once all that goes up, it will go up into the center lock line here. So that center lock line will flow to the front, and that's it. That's my return. So the Jabao pump, the DC pump, is set on midway. So again, I don't really want too much flow happening in my system. The volume turnaround through the sump is roughly only maybe about 2 or 4 times tank volume. I'm not going 10 times the tank volume because there are so many theories to that, where skimmer sometimes doesn't pick up, or there's so many different theories that I'll get into after when I get the skimmer situated in place. The flow. So for the flow, some of you have actually already seen the video on the Jabao pumps that I have on my tank. So the two pumps are located right on the back wall, and the overflows are there. So there's nothing on the side walls because it is a 3-side Starfire, and I didn't want anything to be placed on the sides. I wanted a viewing angle of 3 sides that was available all the time. So wiring concept, again, like I said, I still have to work around the wiring. I'm gonna hide everything possible. As you can see right now, it all looks like a junk. So once I get all my proper equipment for the lighting, for the wiring, I'm gonna hide everything and nothing will be visible. Lighting now. I want to show you guys that I actually made a rail kit for my lighting system. I have a Aqua Illumination Hydra 52 with the director. So the director allows me to control wirelessly through my phone, iPad, or even computer. So the Hydra 52s have been working fantastic. I actually created my own type of lighting level throughout the day that increases in different increments of colorations and gradually ramps up and ramps down. So the bars that I use are 1 inch by 1 inch aluminum bars that are held on by screws on the inside, and that holds the front bar, and the rails that go to the end right to the corner is held on by 90-degree bracket there, and from the bracket it's all the way down. Yes, I could have actually went ahead and mounted something on my existing aluminum stand that I have here, but I actually wanted to go ahead with this method. Just definitely, I have the room for it. I didn't want nothing on the tank. I want as much as room at the back. In case of emergencies, if something ever happened, I need to pull the tank out or drain the water and pull the tank out. It's easily done. The lighting system itself, I can, with an Allen key, I can lower or rise the level of light from the water surface. Right now, it's looking at about 12 inches from the water surface. So I'm happy with that. No complaints about that at all. So that's the light rail that I made. Hope you guys do like it. It's pretty cool, pretty awesome. And what else do I talk about? Yeah, here. Okay, so back to the sump. The auto top-off container. Now this one here is a removable lid, so I'll pop that in, and the lid comes right off, and I have a float valve. So what happens with my RODI unit? Right now, what I'm doing, the way I'm adding water to the sump is just by a regular cup. I have a line drawn where I want the water level to be, that little red dot there. So for now, until I get myself an auto top off controller, this is the way I'm going to be doing it. So it's a little bit more of a headache, so I do have to add in water every day. But again, once that's done, the water will be filled into this reservoir automatically, and then again the controller will dump it into the return chamber properly. Now inside my sump, from the return, the first chamber right now, what I have is I have a filter sock that's stuck onto bulkhead that's at the back. So the plumbing that I did for my return chamber, I didn't want anything hanging off the back wall into the sump. So what I did was I just kind of drilled. Actually, let me take the camera there. So this is exactly what I did. I ran the pipe down from the top, and then it made it 290s, and it comes directly into drilled into the sump. Now from the sump, I have a filter sock right now that's just kind of stuck on. That fitting I'm not gonna have there for now. That's actually just temporarily for now. Afterwards, I'm gonna put a 90-degree fitting that kind of just drops down, and it's gonna go close to the skimmer pump area. So this is just the filtration I have for now. Again, I don't have too much bio load. That's the only reason I really don't need a skimmer for now. How was this hooked on? Anyways, that'll stay there for now. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so that's the filtration that I have for now. Nothing too fancy. This little wire here, again, temporarily, this is just for my heater, heater controller. So I know exactly what the temperature is right now. This light is for the heck of it, a heater that's in the back. Yeah, this thing here. So this is a new concept that I designed for my sumps now. It is an auto-adjustable skimmer level. So this way you don't have to use any type of stand for your skimmer. You can adjust the water level on this. This is my tank, so for mine I can adjust it anywhere from 7 inches all the way up to 11 inches. So that's definitely a benefit there. So this is just what you guys see, the quality of it. The rocks are doing perfectly good. So again, one SPS, I have another one there which is flourishing, and then I have an orange Monty. And I did place a couple of live rocks with full coralline algae on it. So these live rocks will definitely, over time, it would seed the system properly. And I have 2 bird's nests on the top. So every coral that I'm going to get, I'm going to be actually gluing them right on the rocks. Because the thing is, I have full control over my lighting system. So I can dim them. If some corals are burning out, I will dim them and adjust the level as I want to. But mainly what I want to focus on is, the thing with SPS is they're hard to keep, first of all, and the second thing is when they're on a frag plug, we have a tendency, the problem is us guys, when you have a reef tank, some of these corals, they like different type of lighting systems. Now if you have a fixed lighting system that you have no control over, you kind of have to find the right spots. Or first I would suggest is find the PAR readings within your tank to see what PAR is sitting at what level. Now none of us know exactly what PAR will equal to what coral. So it's a right now, as we go with this new technology method with lighting systems, everybody's just kind of experimenting to see what PAR will give best result to what type of corals. So the PAR level in my tank, I will get into that PAR level in a different video to explain why. But my concept on SPS corals is that the way these animals or these corals grow is that once you stick them somewhere, their first instinct, which I realize from looking at a lot of corals, is that once you stick them somewhere, the first thing the SPS do is they obviously acclimate to water quality, lighting, and once they're happy with that, then this is the part that I think a lot of us kind of don't really realize at all, is that SPS corals, when you're in a new system now, instead of branching upwards, they actually branch down. Now, what I mean branch down is they start creating a base for the SPS itself, because this is nature's way to anchor itself on the rocks. So it calculates, the coral, I believe, itself, it calculates how long it is, how strong it is. It creates a base, and then from the base, once it's sturdy, then it starts skyrocketing upwards. So for example, you buy a coral from a frag store, You place it 1 week on one area, and then you find like maybe the polyps are not opening. There could be so many other reasons for that. But the polyps are not opening, or it's been 2 months and you haven't seen no growth. One of the reasons for that could be that you're shifting the corals around too much. You're not giving it a chance to situate itself, acclimate to the exact par level or the light level to that one specific spotted area. So now the coral, you shift it a couple times, the coral's it's confused. It doesn't know where to anchor itself. It's adjusting to new systems all the time. So my method of what I'm going to do is buy a coral, stick it in a place that I like or the way I think is going to branch out, and don't touch it after that at all. So the next month what's going to happen is this coral, I'll put a video on it right now. It's held on by obviously glue there. And let's see what happens in about a month's time or 2 months' time. Let's see if it anchors down or does it start growing up. So there's a couple of branches on there. Even this this coral here. So this one here, again, the base is full of glue. And there's nothing holding it but glue. So let's see if it branches down or does it branch up. That's an experiment I want to actually show you guys. Because if we can actually narrow down to why corals don't flourish in certain tanks too much, is because it might be this reason. Another reason I didn't want to do a mixed reef is that when it comes down to lighting systems or water quality, every coral wants or requires a different type of parameter. Zoos, for example, if you look at where they live, or sorry, zoas and mushrooms, if you look at where they live, they're mainly in the shallow concepts of the ocean. Now, what happens in the shallow concepts of the ocean? Water is not really that clean. From nature, there's skimmate that's happening from the water surface towards the shores of the ocean. So that water, guys, it's completely dirty, but zoas flourish in that type of water. There are tides that happen there for hours. These zoas are actually left out in sunlight and no water at all. So zoas require different type of water chemistry than SPS corals or LPS corals. So I think to have a tank that dominates mainly in a certain species, you will do better than having a tank with a mixed reef system. So this way I can try to control the ultra low nutrient system for my tank, and I know all my SPSs will do phenomenal. But if I put a zoa in here, the zoa is going to be like, wait a second, this water quality is too clean and it's not really going to take off the way you want. So if some of you who already have reef tanks, look into that theory, because if you have a tank where mushrooms are doing fantastic and zoas are doing phenomenal and they're multiplying gradually or increasingly very fast throughout the months, but your SPSs are not doing well, well, now take a look at the water chemistry. See exactly where your nitrates, ammonias, and phosphates are at, because they could be a little high. That's why your SPSs are not doing good. Or for the guys who have SPS corals, you'll see that some of your zoas are probably good. I mean, they're opened up, but they're not multiplying the way they should be or fast enough. So that's the theory that I want to put to the test. Again, this is an experimental video and a product review video on complete setups from Primo Reef Acrylics. When you buy from me, this is exactly what you get, guys. Full top line quality and even aquarium setups. Again, when we set things up at Primo Reef Acrylics, it's definitely top notch, and this is exactly what you're gonna get. So for the next video, I will discuss later on exactly what topics to talk about. I'll probably go over the Aqualumination 52 and how it works and the controls on the computer and iPad or iPhone. But in the meantime, some of you who have Vertex skimmers or some of you who have the Reef Octopus skimmers, you know what? Post your comments below. Let me know what's good or what's not good and how you found your review on your personal skimmer. So maybe if I find a skimmer that's out there that's definitely reliable, reputable, and functioning really well, I may consider that. So again, the skimmers that I'm willing to purchase are Vertex 180i, Reef Octopus Prime, or Reef Octopus Elite. So again, give me your updates on that, guys. Hope you guys do like this video on the Great White SPS. There will be definitely way more videos coming out in the future. So for now, again, rate, comment, subscribe, guys, and thank you for all my fans. Again, Reefer Gil, thanks, bud. You know what? We've been both going back and forth with each other. He's been helping me promote a lot, and I've been actually giving him a lot of promotional products as well. So again, for my friends and colleagues and fans that actually promote for me, you know what, that doesn't mean that it's a one-way directional hit. I definitely look at that, and I will definitely hit you back with products and testing products that I can ship to you for free, and you guys can do a full-on review on them. So stay tuned for the next video on Primo Reef Acrylics, the Great White SPS Reef.